Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, sitting down to have a little chat about Bethesda. You see, this has been a very messy week for them, right? There's just been a lot of little tidbits, a lot of little minor leaks, if you will, and the community's kind of gone crazy. It's just a product of, I think, the Bethesda community being starved. So today, there isn't like one single major piece of news. It's a lot of little tidbits that combine together into this grab bag discussion video I wanted to have. So welcome one, welcome all. If you're here and you're into Bethesda news and information, you are certainly in the right place. Consider subscribing. Let's begin with the big one in my eyes. It was a near catastrophe for Bethesda. Now, I want Redfall to succeed. I love Arcane. I'm a little lukewarm on Redfall as a whole, but I want the game to succeed because Arcane has had some incredible games, but they haven't really had that bona fide banger that everyone's playing and everyone's talking about. And I'm hoping Redfall will be that for them with its co-op features. Now, Redfall has started to fall less out of favor with some hardcore gamers, if you will, the ones who like, their physical copies, the ones who like to play the games offline or at least have the option to do so because game preservation. And we learned recently that Redfall will require an online connection. Now, this is something I'm pretty against. I just think that video games need to have, if you have a single player component, mind you, which Redfall does, an offline mode for preservation's sake. But now Redfall will just one day fade into the server farm when it's not being played anymore. That's disheartening, especially with all the time that's going to be spent on the game. It's just upsetting to know one day, whenever, when people don't care, I imagine, it will disappear and there goes some piece of video game history there. Although it will be minor to some, I think it's major because we need to preserve every piece of media that our industry creates, lest it be forgotten and repeated again down the line. Anyway, enough of that philosophical crap. The real near disaster here really comes down to the physical copies. Now, this is a near miss because originally over on Bethesda's official support page, some of you were getting wise with me, I will comment on that. You can see right here with your own eyes that Bethesda was saying that the physical copies of Redfall would come with a Xbox Play Anywhere code. And so some were very worried that Redfall would not have a disc with it. This isn't a far-fetched idea. There have been leaks that are suggesting Xbox will no longer provide retail copies for games in Brazil, but more relevant and confirmed is, look no further than Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite was a game where half the game was on the disc, and I am starting to get the feeling that Redfall will be much of the same, but I don't want to jump the gun. We'll see what happens when the game's finally out. But this really started to pick up some ground over on Reset Era. Again, officially verified over on Bethesda's official support page. And then Bethesda came out afterwards and clarified, saying that this was just a misunderstanding. Their official support page wrote on Twitter, there was unclear Redfall information shared on a Bethesda customer support FAQ regarding Redfall. It has since been corrected. And now they are saying that Redfall will indeed have physical discs. The Xbox Standard Edition is the only SKU that provides players with a physical disc of the game. Now, not to just pull back on this entirely and go, well, Bethesda, I'm glad they went out and corrected it. But to me, step two is making sure, and I hate to say it's the full game is on the disc, right? Halo Infinite being that living, breathing example. Now, I mentioned earlier, some people got wise with me and many other outlets out there. I found this fascinating. I had some people jumping down my throat saying, yo, check the official information next time, bro. It literally was on the official page, and I'm glad we all reported on it because guess what? Now it's been clarified. Now we move to step two, making sure the full game is on the disc. Insane reaction. I don't understand why we're just so quick to defend Bethesda. That's coming from me, bro. It's coming from me. Anyway, that's what's going on with Redfall. Situation cleared up. Let's move on over to Starfield. The rest of this video is all about Starfield, baby, and I'm excited about this because I did a nice deep dive, I'd like to say, on Starfield and its gameplay reveal, combing through what I would like to say was every detail there. But this is one that I missed that I saw PC Games N had covered, and I thought you may find it a little bit interesting. I wanted to put this in the middle of all the other news and speculation we're going to have. So let's just breeze by it quickly. There was this frame by frame breakdown someone did of the space gameplay, and they found around the 11.5-minute mark when you're flying around your ship that you can actually loot other ships, it would seem, while you're out in space. And I know that may be assumed for some, but there seems to be some level of salvaging with this game, and this wouldn't be too surprising, as Todd has mentioned in the past, like FTL was kind of a touchstone for them, so it makes sense why farming resources, especially given Fallout 4, now we know crafting's in Starfield, that this would be a thing. But it's going to be an icon, as we saw, and there is a treasure chest on said icon next to a ship right before it is destroyed. So I just thought it was interesting to see that this will be a mechanic in outer space. Nothing to lose your mind over, but for me, as someone who I'd like to say knows these trailers inside and out at this point, I edit with the footage all the time, so I'm seeing it on like a weekly basis. I've combed through it individually. It's disgusting how much I've seen some parts of this game. So to me, it was kind of nice to be like, oh, hey, that's new. Anyway, let's move on to more news. So a lot of us are wondering what's going on with the Developer Direct. That's a big question mark for us. Like, what is going on, Bethesda? When are we going to see a little more Starfield? And I know many of us are Starfield for... I'm gonna stop that joke right there. I know a lot of us are starving for information on Starfield, and we're looking for the next Developer Direct. I do think some of us need to exercise patience. It wasn't so long ago that we just got the first Developer Direct. I agree that part of me was in the mindset that we'd see it a little bit sooner, and I've already stated before, I think if we reach March and we're like mid-March and still nothing, I'm gonna start getting a little concerned that this game's not coming out in the first half of the year, which I'm fine with. But we just got an official update, which is kind of not an update, if you will, from Bethesda over on their official Discord, where my good friend Vault of Daedalus has the update for us. He says, we'll have more info to share on the showcase when it's ready to be. Still sorting stuff out for it. I know that's not the answer you want, but nothing specific is being withheld. I find this to be a smidge, like a tiny bit, I'm not going to stretch it for you, but like a tiny bit more important than some people are giving it credit for. Like I saw some people going, no news is news, I guess, nowadays. And yeah, fair play. But I also think that this is important to recognize because around the time that we had the Developer Direct starting to be leaked and rumored that Xbox was going to do some type of showcase in January, and that was why they weren't present in December at the Game Awards, this was a similar update we got from the same figure at Bethesda, my good friend Vault of Daedalus. He said something along the lines of like, we're still cooking away, things are happening, it's a little bit of an overreaction. So for me, as I know this gentleman quite well, and I know he was there with me during the Fallout 4 speculation days, I don't think he sticks his neck out like this unless he's really, sure of himself. That's how I view it. Granted, I have the personal relationship. It's not like he's told me anything. It's not like we talk all the time anymore. But I see that and go, okay, I trust Vault of Daedalus. Okay, cool. So to me, them saying we're not hiding anything, we're just still working on it, good. So it's in production, and maybe that would indicate like March, early March. And at that point, it's anybody's guess if the game's still coming out in the first half. But there are still things moving. As I imagine many of us didn't doubt, there are things moving, and take it for what you will. Now, the thing that we're hoping doesn't move is the release date. And we got a small update on that. I see some people get carried away with this where official accounts, mind you, from a brand that are in different regions of the world say something and they think it's the official announcement of something. So what I mean by that is the Latin America Bethesda account said that Starfield's release date will be announced very soon, which if the Developer Direct ends up coming true, then yeah, I guess it is coming somewhat soon, because then we'll hopefully know during that Developer Direct. But I've seen throughout my entire career that people will like pick out the German account from like CD Projekt or something obscure like that, where there's a language barrier. They're obviously not the first place to figure out news. And when they get their words Google translated, they mean something different from what they actually wanted to say. And what I will say about this is, take it with a grain of salt. I know you may scoff a bit and go, oh, it's the official account, Maddie. They would know, right? Especially the people who are telling me to check the official sources for our lead story in today's video with Redfall. I get where you're coming from, but I think number one, right, would be the US-based team in Bethesda. And not much goes beyond that, believe it or not. It's on like a need-to-know basis moving forward from there. Like, it's a very shut down company to my knowledge. So to me, I don't think you're going to get the slip up in the comments going, hey, we know the release date for Starfield and it's coming very soon. And that's what they actually truly meant to say, because this was, as you saw in the picture, a month ago. And well, I'd say soon is within the range of a week or two. And yeah, nothing. So that's why you should just ignore these types of things. Wait for the official account from the main place that the company is based within to make the reveal of said information. Another fake Starfield leak had popped up. This picture is very interesting. It's of course a slightly blurry photo, and people are claiming, oh, we got a cinematic trailer on the way. It has now been confirmed through my good buddy Skullsy TV that this Starfield leak is 100% fake and was created using Midjourney AI. But as you're seeing now, look at all these little things. These are all things throughout this whole video. You're probably going, stupid, 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 like Leon Kawada and Danganronpa. Shout out to anyone who gets that. Like, stupid, stupid, stupid. All right? And I get it. I'm right there with you. Like, yeah, these are all very little things. But the reason they're becoming significant is because of Bethesda's silence, which has always been their enemy, right? And they tried to do something, as I covered earlier in the video. This is why we try to set up a little bit of a timeline with the news and make it all flow together. Is here we have an update coming to kind of try to settle the masses down while gamers are digging into every single corner possible. And I think this would be a little bit more digestible if Bethesda were talking outside of just the Developer Direct, which I thought would have been a fair expectation for all of us. So Constellation Questions is the series we thought we'd get pretty frequently, right? Where it's Q&A with major developers on Starfield. It began with Todd Howard. It moved over to Will Shen. And based off the upload times, you can at least safely say it's on a 2-month basis, right? Every 2 months we get a new episode. So it's been 2 months since Will Shen hopped on, and I'd like to say it's probably time to get a little something for Constellation Questions. I don't think it'd be much longer, but are they going to wait for this until the Developer Direct? I don't see the harm in it, depending on what they want to talk about. Like, dedicating a whole Constellation Questions episode to just flying around in space, to me, makes a lot of sense. There's also Into the Starfield, which was this mini doc style video series that they did where they had multiple developers sitting around talking about the game, the dream of the game, the goals of the game, the inspirations, and dropping little tidbits of info in there. I think obviously we need to understand communications move very slow for all of these companies, but I also do believe that these companies need to equally consider that sometimes fans aren't looking for the big bombs. We're just looking for little bits here and there. And I know while it's a tough subject for some to talk about, I think Hogwarts Legacy was actually magnificently marketed. Like, they did ASMR videos, they were doing developer streams, they showed tons of gameplay, they were very communicative about the collector's edition, what it included, and so on and so forth. There was just no question marks, in my opinion, around that game as a video game, mind you, going into launch. I think you very much knew many things about it stepping in. Whereas with Starfield, it's just engulfed in mystery, which is part of the fun. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to know everything going in, but I look at, if you want to have like a game truly communicated to you, I think leading into the launch of Hogwarts Legacy, we got a good feel of that game. And I'd like to see at least some developers take a crack at it. Obviously, there's marketing fatigue. You run the risk of showing too much. It's just a balance you got to strike. But when Bethesda's not talking, I think sometimes I understand why they want to save it for one big surprise, but I do think they could scatter it out a little bit. And I think that's why all of these little bits of news between Latin America Bethesda accounts and this fake AI image are popping up and becoming talking points for people, and even people are dedicating full-on videos to them as if they're real, is because restlessness sets in quicker than I think Bethesda ever anticipates, and they never seem to be prepared for it. And to an extent, again, I'm willing to understand that, but I also think eventually you got to know your own fan base. And I'm not justifying the behavior, but you got to kind of know, like, okay, they're going to lose their minds a little bit sooner than most. How do we stave that off and keep them satiated? Like with Fallout 4, the beauty of that to me was Fallout Shelter and of course the special videos. Like you could just count on them consistently. They had a lot of fun stuff in between. They had QuakeCon, they had E3, they had Gamescom. It was marvelously marketed. So I just feel like you have the template there for communication and the how-tos. And if you follow that, it's a path to success, right? Fallout 4 made a ton of money. So that's just me, marketing expert Mr. Matty, speaking on the matter here. But otherwise, that's everything going on with Bethesda in the last week or so. It's been a busy one for them, but fortunately coming out pretty unscathed given what was happening with Redfall and what was happening with these leaks with Starfield and the quote cinematic trailer. They're coming out unscathed, and hopefully we hear something soon. I imagine, just given the timeline of Constellation questions, gotta be within the next week or so, you'd think, but crazier things have happened, and with the Developer Direct upcoming, it's probably just very much up in the air, and their resources are devoted to that. So ladies and gentlemen, that's all I've got for you in today's video. What do you think of all the Redfall and Starfield news that I've covered today? How are you feeling about where Bethesda is going? Please do fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.